All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Feed. Today's guest is Eddie Gonzalez. He's the host of the Etc. podcast with Kevin Durant. He has mastered the art of storytelling. He's not just a man of the culture; he's the voice of the culture. Appreciate you coming on, man. How you doing?
Oh, thank you for having me, man. I'm cool. I'm at the office on the rare occasion, so I'm just chilling.
Yeah, man. So, I want to start off by asking kind of a little bit about like who you are, kind of how you got started, and what you've been doing and all that jazz.
Yeah, I mean, how I got started is kind of a long story, I guess, and I'm a long-winded talker, so brace yourself. But I got started late in media. I didn't know what I was gonna do exactly. I was just trying to make ends meet, I guess, and I was at community college and somebody suggested I give it a try. And it kind of came natural to me to tell stories. I'd always been a reader, not really always been a writer, kind of hated writing when I was younger. But it was a natural transition. And I had this weird knowledge base of just all this useless information. But as we got more into the internet era, it's like people cared about this song that I loved in 1998 or this baseball player that we all forgot about and stuff like that. So, I kind of just fell into it. But when I finally started to take media kind of serious and really attack it, maybe like 2013, I worked for a hip hop blog called The Smoking Section, was a part of what is now Up Rocks. And that really set things up for me because one, they let me write about and do whatever I wanted. And that just opened my kind of mind with the possibilities with that. And two, I started to make some money and see that this was a thing that you could actually do. And I met my mentor there, a guy who goes by John Gotti. It's not his actual name, but, internet pseudonyms. And, he pretty much taught me how to write like me, taught me how to tell stories in my voice. And it all expanded from there. And for me, always with media and just the job I do and the jobs I do is I'm just trying to keep up with the way we tell stories. And as media constantly changes, technology constantly changes. I used to be able to write 3,000 words about a Jay-Z B-side song and just kind of tell why it mattered and why I cared. And now it's like, I might be better off doing a 3-minute video that's going to go on Instagram than doing that. And it's just keeping up with that. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if that answers the question, but I started on the internet just talking about whatever I could think of, and it made its way all the way here.
Yeah, man, I think you kind of nailed it when you're like, any way to tell the best story, and it's constantly evolving. Yeah. And, obviously, just want to say I'm a huge fan of the Etc.'s podcast, and that's what kind of how I came across you. And that's kind of like what I think you guys are doing in a way. It's like reversing the way of these podcasts, because how many podcasts are out there that are telling you all the advice in the world to become successful in these trips and acts, but you're just like, no, I'm going to reverse it. I'm going to get in the head of J. Cole and understand him and make him feel like an ordinary person. Yeah. And I think that gives people like such a like fresh perspective and like relatable, and I think that's like sometimes what podcasts miss, because they're interviewing these high level people, but it's like, where do they spend their free time? Like how they relate. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's what I love the most about the Etc.'s podcast.
Yeah, no, I give a lot of credit to Kevin, man, because one, he's so open to being relatable and normal and just, being a regular guy. And two, I always say he's like my cheat code. It's a lot easier to ask, Draymond Green about beef, or to ask, 40 about Drake's earliest career and stuff like that, when Kevin Durant's sitting right there and we've talked for an hour and they feel way more comfortable. And then, it'd be different if I was just a guy and they sent me to the studio and
oh God,
there's this long list of things I can't talk about or whatever. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I feel like Kevin's kind of my cheat code there, but that's absolutely it. We want to just have as normal conversations as we can. And, whenever I feel like the pods are getting too interviewy, I feel like we're straying in the wrong direction. And so it's dope that we're able to, when we got off mic with Cole, we were kind of laughing because it was like, yo, Kevin and Cole really got to nerd out about basketball. They're talking about pick and roll coverages and other stuff.
Yeah.
And then me and Cole are like really nerding out about his career and just like these songs he made 15 years ago and why aren't they on social, and you know how he's changed his perspective in music and how he's projecting himself different. And it was just like, you know, most interviews they're just gonna ask him the standard questions. They're just gonna ask him stuff and he's gonna give cliche answers because they're cliche questions. But we were able to really like dig underneath the surface, and we had a good time. And we used to have a good time with all of them that we do.
Yeah, I mean, the way that you're describing the album, like Cole was like, whoa, like that was like crazy, you know. But yeah, I think
it was tough too because the album came out like 8 hours before that, right?
Yeah.
So like if you listen to that episode, I don't know the song titles and stuff. I'm like, yeah, you talked about this. What is that? And he knows the song titles. He's sitting the song for 8 months, a year, or whatever. But it was that fresh. It's like, man, I didn't get to dig in as like if I got to talk about the album now, I'd have a ton of questions.
Yeah. But that's like crazy because like you didn't even know the song titles, but you felt like the message of the whole album, which was, you know, amazing. And that's another thing, like the way that you architect these conversations, like it seems like you're a facilitator to the culture of these extraordinary people, but make them feel ordinary. You know, like what are some of your strategies that you do to like to have these like candid conversations?
Well, there's like a balance, right? Because you know, Kevin is Kevin. He's not an interviewer by nature. So part of me has to be, you know, half journalist, and then part of me gets to be half fan because it's like, yo, I'm talking to 40, and we're talking about making So Far Gone and some condo in Toronto, and then you know, I'm talking to Biggs about the beginning of Rockefeller and all this stuff. So I get to be a fan too, but it is a fine line, and I kind of got to be the bad guy in the convos who has to say all the cliche stuff. But once I say that and I can be the dummy, then now Cole has to say way more than just like, you know, why are you angry on these songs? He's like, he can say like, oh, I'm not. But I'm like, yeah, but nah, you know, I throw out all the cliche answers and now he has to really dig in deep. And he's talking to us about like Kobe used to be able to windmill, but then realized he had to play the game differently. And that's how he feels. And he's breaking it down because I've kind of stripped away the cliche portions of whatever the answer might be. And so I get a lot of complaints that like I talk too much or like I'm annoying or whatever, but it's kind of like a Jedi mind trick. Like I'll rather be the annoying person. That way J. Cole or Kamaru Usman can like really dig in deep. And that's fine with me. Like they're the show for me. You know, I'm just kind of navigating as best I can.
Yeah. I mean, like what are some of the challenges that you've come across, like trying to, you know, not like portray a narrative, but, you know, say that you have a guest like J. Cole, like how do you workshop that? Like, and what are some of the challenges that you face or what's your process behind that?
I mean, I think the challenge for me is like, I'm kind of working 2 interviews at once because as much as Kevin is the co-host, he's also kind of another guest. And I want to make sure we hear from him as well. A lot of people are showing up to the Kevin Durant show. So that's kind of like the biggest challenge. And, you know, he's game. He's always excited about the guests we have. He likes the people we have. And, you know, him and I kind of shuffle through these names and who we want to talk to. So it helps that, you know, he's excited when he gets there because he has things to say. That's kind of the biggest challenge, but it's also easy because at the end of the day, that's like my friend. So it's easy to bounce stuff off him and kind of know where he's going to go and kind of, you know, some of this stuff I already know the answer. So it's like, let's get him to say that out loud now so people know how he feels. And, you know, so it's fun. And, you know, him enjoying it as much as he does makes it a lot easier too, because there's like a palpable excitement. And he gets on the Zoom and Rick Famuyiwa gets on the Zoom and they're like, you know, they're just geeked to talk to each other. Like we had to like cut off our initial combo because it's like, okay, we got to start the pod now and hit record. All right, cool. And then we get to it. So that helps a lot. That helps with everything. And I'm already excited. Like, you know, I'm talking to these people who I might not have that interview. It might have took longer to get that interview if it wasn't for the situation I'm in.
No, I feel you. I mean, I work in media too. And, you know, I have a cheat code myself. I run like sports jokes. That has like 2.5 million followers on Instagram. So, you know, whenever I need to get in contact, it's just like access point. So, I mean, lean into it, but like don't like own it. You know what I mean? Like don't identify with it. Kind of like, you know, veer off. And no, I feel you. But how did you like? What sparked you on this journey? Like, obviously, you said you're doing, you know, a music journalist. And then like, what were the steps that got you from like 2013 to now? And like, what has happened in between?
You know, it's funny. I think back a lot. When I first started writing, like my initial goal was, yo, if they could pay me anything, this would be worth it. This would be cool. And I got to a point where like the traffic was good and the site had gotten some sponsorship, and it was like, yo, we can give you $10 a post. And I was geeked. I was like, cool, I'll do 100 of those a month. That's like sneaker money. I you know, I could pay my phone bill, do my stuff. And then it was like my next goal was, all right, like I want to double that. And then it was, I want to get on staff. And the funny part is I didn't get on anybody's staff until like 2018. So it took a long time, but it was just grinding and figuring out the best. At the time, it was, how do I write the way I talk? And trying to figure out how to do that functionally and without it being these long run-on sentences. And some shit makes sense in your head and doesn't make sense to the world.
I get that all the time. I feel you, dude.
So it was just kind of working my way through that. But like we mentioned earlier, as the media changed around me, as the technology changed around me, it's like I got to keep up with that. And that gradually led me to podcasting. That gradually led me now on camera. And it was just finding ways to tell these stories I care about, because I think at the end of the day, that's what describes what I do. I'm a storyteller. And so that's what led me here. And obviously meeting Kevin was a boost in a different direction, but I had already dipped in the podcast and I was already working at ESPN. I was already kind of like putting these other plays together. And then we did this. So it's just been a long journey and just trying to adjust on the fly as, you know, storytelling adjusts.
Yeah, no, I feel it. I mean, everything's evolving. There's Clubhouse, there's all this, there's Spaces, there's, you know, there's so many ways to tell a story nowadays. And I think even with something as simple as like TikTok, like some of the most viral TikToks are sometimes just the most like best way that these creators can tell a story.
Yeah.
You know, like, so you're absolutely right. But like, what excites you the most about kind of like with everything that you're doing? Like, what is like what you look forward to the most?
I'm kind of one of those, like, I don't want to say I'm a pessimist, but like I'm so in the weeds of what we're doing, I don't always get to kind of look around and be excited about it. But every once in a while, I'll end up at a room, I'll end up at an event, I'll end up, somebody knows me and it's like, oh. So this year, I spoke with Elliott Wilson. We had like a private call, and it was like, I was laughing at him like, yo, like 12-year-old me, like 10-year-old me, flipping through double XL, bugging out right now. So it's just moments like that. And, you know, they happen kind of often these days, which is crazy. But that was a big one for me. That was a trippy one. And Elliot is somebody I could hit and bug about this, that, and the third. And, you know, he's always been helpful and giving advice. But to have us actually have a sit down and just catch up and just talk, it was like, that was a major moment, because, you know, that's probably what got me on this path, was flipping through those magazines when I was little and just reading these stories about these rappers that I know about, or these musicians, seeing the images and the way that you were telling stories at the time is what put me on this path. So it's just weird that we cross paths.
Yeah, I mean, that was like, you know, that's something also I wanted to ask, kind of like what, like, obviously I asked like what sparked this journey, but, you know, obviously what type of kid were you, you know, what type of kid were you back in the day, and like where were your interests? Because it seems like it all kind of is progressing in a natural way that's kind of getting you to your goal.
Yeah, I mean, I was like a bookworm. Like I love sports and I love music. And so I was just gravitating to anything. I'm so old. That was before like the internet like that. So I was like, I've been at the store, like the grocery store, mom's doing her thing, and I'm just in the little section, like flipping through magazines, reading stories. And I used to trip out because my friends when I was younger, they kind of just looked at the pictures and just tossed the magazine. But I'm like, yo, there's like Ken Griffey Jr. like told his life story in here. Like, did you see it? And I would be there through reading it, and video games, sports, music, whatever, you know, TV. I was reading the TV Guide when I was younger. So, you know, I was active, But when I had a chance to sit down, I was definitely in a book and a magazine. So, just kind of one of those, I guess, weird kids who's just doing a little bit of everything. But it's crazy how, I'll talk to some of my closest friends and my family members. It's like, yo, all that paid off. Like, I remember you scrolling through blogs in like 2006, just constantly just reading stuff on the computer. And now look, like you're doing what we were doing back then. So it's just, it's weird how it all sends you in one path, but it worked out.
Yeah, no, for sure. And when you were doing that like music job when you first started, like did you love it, or was it like a hard craft that you had to learn, or how did you feel about that?
No, I did love it. I can genuinely say that, and I loved the fact that that was even an option, and then I loved the challenge of like getting better. And I worked with Justin Tinsley, who is at the Undefeated at ESPN, who's kind of like a star in this industry, and David Dennis as well, same thing. He's at ESPN, he's the Undefeated, and it was almost like competing with those guys. It was like, yo, you just wrote this incredible thing about Freddie Gibbs. How do I top that? Like how do I even keep up with that? But I had fun, and then I started interviewing, and I started going to concerts, and so now I'm getting like perks, right? Now I'm sitting front row, I'm sitting on stage, and I'm talking to the artists before the show, after the show, like I'm doing all this stuff. And yeah, I genuinely loved it. And it's funny, like I was talking to Justin Tinsley recently, and I was like, man, we used to just, all we wanted to do was write. And now like we're so busy doing other stuff and telling stories in other ways. It's like we can't always get back to writing like we want to. But nah, I did. I definitely did genuinely love it, because I would have never believed anybody would have paid me to write a story that talks about how The Wire uses the principles from Biggie's 10 Crack Commandments. And she's like, I gave you 4,000 words about that. You paid me? That was crazy. Like, I would have never believed that. But it was like perfect for me.
Yeah, like, did you write that on your own, or like how do you actually like go about writing that? Because that just seems like such like a creative thing that might.
Nah, like I was actually watching The Wire. I remember because this is a story that actually exists. I can send it to you. I was actually watching The Wire, and I forget what scene it was. I think it was, I don't know how familiar you are with the show, but like Naaman is selling drugs, and he keeps the drugs in his house. And his mom goes, yo, what are you doing? And she like breaks it down to him, like, you cannot have this here. And that's part of one of Biggie's commandments. And
Yeah, dude.
It clicked, and I was like, hold on. And then, I kind of put it together. I ran it by Gotti. He loved it. And it's like, I'm going to just do it. And, like I said, it exists. It's still out there. I did a really good job on it. I have to pat myself on the back. But no, I mean, I always say, like, there's these weird intersections of sports, music, of culture in general. And I just live right there. I just live right there. And that's hot now, which is crazy.
Yeah, dude.
But, I've kind of fell on that. So now I have a podcast where it's like, Kevin Durant and J. Cole, and we're talking about
and the Drake instrumentals, like just everything about it.
We're talking about J. Cole's basketball career and Kevin Durant's music career.
Wild.
So this is a weird
Wild.
life. So.
That's some top level shit. That's amazing. But yeah, like what's the future? What's the future with like Boardroom? What's the future with etc.? What's the future with you? Do you have anything in the hopper or something that you could share, or kind of what you're looking forward to?
I mean, now that Kevin is not as busy as he was the last few months, I mean, he had the playoffs, he had the Olympics. It's got a lot going on, right? We'll get back to doing shows soon. We're plotting out what I think is technically our second season. We're always working here at Boardroom and, trying to expand what the et ceteras is and beyond just a podcast. And we have a video series called Locked In, and we drop every 2 weeks. And as things happen, and it's just kind of like a deep dive into particular moments. We did one on, Warner Brothers' relationship with Nike, and we try to touch as broadly as we can. But we have that, and the Boardroom is constantly working. We're growing what we do here as a company, and same with 35 Inches as a whole. And I'm at the office. I'm actually in Kevin's office, so hope you don't get upset. But I'm at the office now, and our staff is expanding, and we're really killing it with editorial, and we're doing more and more video series. And these guys are working on docs and TV shows, and they got all kind of stuff going on. So I'm just trying to do whatever I can to add to the team, to add to what we're building. And I have stuff on the way. I have ideas, I have plans, I have stuff in development. But as of now, we're getting ready to bring the pod back, and I'm excited about that. I hadn't seen Kay since Vegas, so I'm gonna go catch up with him soon. But we did catch up out there before he headed out, and he's finally in his much deserved vacation, man.
Oh yeah, I mean, dude was just dropping dimes in the Olympics, and give this guy a break.
But those guys are right back at it. I think like 6 weeks from now, they're right back at it with training camp. So it's a whirlwind. It's a whirlwind with him, and I gotta get these podcast episodes while I can, and we will. And when he gets back out east, we'll hit the ground running even more. So I'm just looking forward to it, man. It's been quite a year for me. I know the pandemic has been rough for a lot of people. It's been real busy for me. It's been crazy. And, I don't know what, 18 months ago, I was at ESPN and I thought, this is it. This is where I was working to land, and shit just started changing from there. And it's
18 months ago was that much has changed?
Yeah. So I joined ESPN social team December 2019. And we launched the podcast September 2020. And so now we're getting ready to swing back August 2021. And it's just a lot going on. So to kind of plot out the future is I can't be sure anymore. Yeah. Things move so fast, but that's a good thing. And I'm excited about it.
Yeah, bro. Just move quick on your feet. And I'm here for it, dude. I'm here for the et ceteras. I'm here for all the docuseries or whatever you guys turn out. Boardroom crushes it. 35 Ventures. I'd chew that up, man. I'm a huge fan.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate that.
Cool, man. I didn't want to keep you too long, but I appreciate it. I know you're super busy. Told you would keep it short and sweet, but yeah, man, that's it. I'm so excited that you were hopping on the show. We were in a DM chat for a minute. So glad I got it. I was going to use sports jokes to DM you, so maybe you would have saw that, but I was like, I ain't using the cheat code.
Nah, thanks for having me, bro. Yeah. I mean, I don't ever mean to give folks the runaround or whatever. It's just I never know what to do and what not do, and I'm bad at saying no too. If it was up to me, I'd damn near do everything, and then there would be no value in talking to me, right? I'd have answered all this already. So I appreciate you even having me, and I like what you're doing. I listened to the show quite a bit this week just to kind of know what the hell I got myself into.
Cool.
But I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm a work in progress, so I enjoy the insider tips about how you conduct it and all that. That's super helpful.
You and me both, bro. You and me both. I got a lot to learn.
I feel ya.
But all right, man. Well, you have a good one, bro. Thanks again.
Yeah, bro. Take care. We'll be in touch.
Yeah. Let me know if you need anything else from me.
Cool. All right, man.
All right, bro.
Later. If you guys enjoyed the podcast, follow us on Instagram at Inside the Feed Podcast and let us know what you liked and what you want to see from us. Once again, thank you.